Beneath the eternal hum of Vatican bells, a silence older than Rome breathes through stone corridors. Father Aurelio Montesi presses his palm against a wall that seems to pulse faintly with memory, the mortar humming with the weight of centuries. A hidden passage revealed by candlelight and dust opens not into a tomb but a secret kept between faiths. He whispers a prayer that sounds more like an apology. Somewhere in the cold air, the faint scent of myrrh and burning papyrus curls upward, as if Egypt itself exhales through these catacombs. Dr. Laila Farouk, her breath shallow, runs her fingers along carvings, hieroglyphs hidden beneath Latin script. Two civilizations intertwined like lovers afraid to be seen. The Vatican above glows with gold and choir song. But down here, the earth remembers something else. A covenant forged in darkness, and a relic that refuses to stay buried. The descent begins in silence, interrupted only by the rasp of stone beneath their boots. The deeper they go, the less the air feels like air. It thickens, heavy with centuries of breath held back. Aurelio murmurs to himself passages from Psalms, but each verse falters when met with echoes of older tongues, whispering beneath the words. Laila listens, her mind threading through fragments of Egyptian mythology, tales of hidden chambers where gods slept beneath foreign stars. The staircase coils like a serpent, its belly damp with forgotten rain. As their light fades, the codex in Aurelio's hands grows warmer, as though reacting to what lies ahead. Somewhere in the dark, water drips in measured rhythm. A heartbeat beneath the Vatican's stone heart. The arch yields with the groan of a world unsealed. Air, older than empire, rushes outward, bringing the scent of lotus and ash. Beyond lies a vast chamber, its ceiling unseen, its floor carved with a mosaic of celestial maps, the same constellations painted upon Egyptian tombs. Laila steps forward, her breath catching as her lantern reveals statues wrapped in linen, their faces blending Roman realism with Egyptian eternity. Aurelio kneels to examine a stone altar, his faith trembling as he recognizes a chalice adorned, not with a cross, but with the eye of Horus. The two stand within a room where gods once conversed in silence, and every echo feels like a question the church was never meant to answer. Laila kneels beside the altar, tracing her fingers across the dual symbols. They merged their faiths, she whispers, her voice trembling between awe and sorrow. Aurelio closes the codex and presses it to his chest, his mind a storm of forbidden questions. He speaks softly of the 2nd century, of priests fleeing Alexandria, smuggling their gods into Rome under cover of night, blending prayer and survival. A single drop of water falls from the ceiling and strikes the altar, echoing like a bell. Above them, faint chants from the Vatican seep through the stone, mixing with the imagined hymns of ancient Egypt. Two worlds, once at odds, now whisper together beneath the same roof. Aurelio turns a page of the codex, revealing a diagram marked with the phrase Sol Occultus, the hidden sun. Beneath it, an inscription reads in hieratic, "He who brings the dawn beneath the cross will awaken the buried light." Laila's voice breaks the stillness. They hid something deeper. Her words hang heavy, swallowed by the air. Aurelio glances toward a shadowed archway beyond the altar, its threshold sealed with wax and bronze, bearing both papal and pharaonic insignia. The faint hum returns, a vibration in the stone, pulsing like the breath of something waiting to be found. Their lights tremble. For the first time, faith feels like trespass. The wax seal breaks with a sigh, as though centuries exhale in relief. A low wind spills from the chamber beyond, carrying the fragrance of oils long dried. Aurelio steadies the lantern, revealing walls carved not by Roman masons but Egyptian artisans. Their hieroglyphs precise and deliberate, glowing faintly under mineral reflections. Lila whispers that the pigments contain crushed lapis, a material used to paint divine flesh. The air hums, not with sound but presence, like a chorus sung in silence. Aurelio lifts his codex, his faith trembling before evidence that refuses to be confined by doctrine. "These symbols," he murmurs, "speak of resurrection before resurrection had a name." The echo of his voice seems to agree. Lila finds a niche in the far wall and gently removes a limestone lid. Inside lies a collection of scrolls wrapped in oilcloth, the parchment whispering as it's touched. Symbols of both Nile and cross intertwine upon the seals, Egyptian priests writing in Latin, or perhaps Romans writing in the script of their fear. She unrolls one under Aurelio's light, revealing instructions for the preservation of the sacred eye within the house of the Western Sun. Aurelio swallows, realizing the text describes the Vatican itself. "They built the church upon an older altar," he says quietly. Layla looks at him, her face pale with realization. "Then this," she breathes, "is the altar of both gods." From the hollow beneath the altar, Aurelio retrieves a golden mask, its surface polished to reflect not faces, but intentions. The features are unmistakably Egyptian, yet crowned with a faint halo etched in Roman style. He raises it toward the flickering light, and for a breath, the reflection aligns perfectly with his own eyes. Lila steps back, her voice trembling. "That mask belonged to a god carried across the sea." Aurelio lowers it gently, his fingertips smudging its ancient perfection. "Or perhaps," he says, "it was never meant for a god at all, but for those who feared becoming one." The air between them feels charged, alive with something watching. They move deeper into the chamber, where the walls grow slick with moisture. Strange light glimmers from fissures in the rock, as though the earth itself carries a buried sun. Lila kneels beside a cracked urn filled with dark sand. Within it rests a bronze scarab engraved with the symbol of St. Peter's keys. She lifts it gently, and the metal hums faintly in her hands. Aurelio's breath quickens as he realizes the scarab was cast from the same bronze used for Vatican relics. "The church didn't just conceal Egypt," he whispers. "It inherited it." Lila's gaze turns solemn. "Then history," she replies, "was rewritten in Latin." From the farthest corner of the chamber, a hollow moan stirs, neither human nor mechanical, more like breath forced through ancient stone. Aurelio raises his lantern, revealing a small passage descending even further, its entrance shaped like the solar disk of Re. Lila steadies herself, her voice low and urgent. "This is what they called the sun below." He nods, knowing the danger of crossing thresholds meant to stay sealed. Yet both step forward, drawn by something older than reason. As they vanish into the narrow passage, the last light from their lantern spills backward, briefly illuminating the carvings of a figure crowned with both the papal tiara and the double crown of Egypt. It smiles in the dark. The tunnel narrows until it forces them to crawl. The air thickens with the mineral scent of old incense and decay. Layla feels the walls trembling faintly beneath her hands, stone breathing, or something behind it. Aurelio mutters prayers, but they sound hollow here, stripped of their certainty. The passage opens suddenly into a cavern vast enough to swallow cathedrals. Columns carved like papyrus stalks rise into the blackness, each entwined with Latin verses chiseled over hieroglyphic prayers. In the center stands an altar of white alabaster, radiant even in shadow. Aurelio whispers, "We are beneath the sun." Layla replies, "No, beneath what it remembers." The altar bears offerings untouched by time, bronze vessels filled with sand, fragments of linen shrouds, and a chalice encrusted with turquoise and lapis. Lila's voice trembles as she recognizes the cartouche of Queen Arsinoe etched upon the chalice's rim. Aurelio studies it in silence, his expression wavering between devotion and dread. "This was brought here before Rome's empire knew its name," he whispers. Layla nods, her fingertips brushing the ancient metal. And buried where no empire could ever claim it, the silence that follows feels sacred. Somewhere unseen, water trickles through stone, a quiet requiem for gods displaced. Lila unrolls a piece of parchment found beside the altar. The ink has faded to rust, but the script intertwines Greek, Coptic, and Hieratic, a syncretic prayer bridging pantheons. As she reads aloud, the cavern stirs. The air vibrates, fine dust rising in veils. Aurelio grips his crucifix but does not speak. The words describe a covenant the gods of Egypt entrusted to the keepers of a rising faith, hidden until both heavens reconcile. They weren't conquered, Aurelio murmurs. They were adopted. Layla's eyes glisten in the flickering light. Then history never forgot them, she whispers. It only changed their names. From the darkness beyond the altar, a faint shimmer forms, a reflection without a source. Layla steps closer, realizing it emanates from a wall of polished obsidian carved with mirrored hieroglyphs. In its black surface, Aurelio sees not himself but a procession of priests and cardinals moving side by side, carrying relics across centuries. He blinks, and the vision vanishes. Memory etched in stone, he murmurs. Lila's hand hovers near the mirror. Her reflection distorts into the likeness of Queen Arsinoe, eyes burning gold. A whisper hums through the air. The sun remembers its shadow. The lantern flickers violently, as if resisting the truth it illuminates. The ground shudders softly beneath their feet. From cracks in the floor, faint streams of golden dust rise like inverted sunlight. Aurelio clutches the codex, its pages fluttering though no wind blows. Lila whispers that the symbols are aligning, the Eye of Horus merging with the cross of light sketched upon the altar floor. The cavern hums louder, resonant and alive. It's reacting, she says. To what? Aurelio asks. To us, she replies. In that moment, both understand that faith, language, and time were only veils drawn over something far older, the desire to reach the divine. The golden dust swirls around them, and the scene fades into blinding radiance. The tremor subsides, leaving a silence heavy enough to crush breath. Aurelio steadies the lantern. Its flame now burns unnaturally steady, blue at the core. Lila's voice cracks through the stillness. Someone sealed this place for a reason. From the tunnel behind them, faint echoes rise, footsteps, deliberate and slow. Aurelio's heart tightens. He recognizes the cadence, the measured stride of men who walk without fear because they believe they own the dark. Layla whispers, "They followed us." Aurelio lowers the lantern, extinguishing the light. In the absolute blackness, he murmurs, "Then the church still remembers its secret." From the tunnel's mouth, Cardinal Vincenzo Salvi emerges with 2 Vatican guards cloaked in crimson. His expression is calm, almost sorrowful. "You were never meant to find this, Aurelio," he says, his voice echoing like confession in an empty cathedral. Layla steps forward, defiant. "You knew." The cardinal's eyes soften, but his tone remains steel. "For centuries we have guarded the convergence of belief, not to destroy it, but to protect mankind from what it would do in its name." Aurelia's hands tremble around the codex. "Then faith was built on a lie." The cardinal sighs. "No, my son. It was built on mercy." The cardinal approaches the altar, his hand trembling as he traces the merged symbols of cross and eye. "Do you know what this is?" he asks quietly. "It is the covenant of unity, forged by those who believed one truth could not erase another." His gaze hardens. "But unity breeds chaos in weak hearts. Men kill for less." Lila shakes her head. "So you buried peace to preserve control." Aurelio watches as the cardinal kneels before the altar, his crimson sleeves brushing gold dust. perhaps, Salvi admits, but the world was not ready for its gods to recognize each other. Aurelio steps forward, voice rising with desperate conviction. If this truth is buried, faith becomes blindness. Salvi looks up slowly, his face half-shadowed, and if it is revealed, faith becomes war. The words hang heavy between them, echoing through the cavern like judgment. Layla holds the codex out, its brittle pages trembling. You cannot protect God by hiding his origins. The cardinal's hand closes around the altar's edge, veins visible beneath the skin. "What would you have me do?" he asks. Aurelio answers quietly, "Let light touch what was buried." For a long moment, the world seems to hold its breath. The cardinal extends a hand toward Aurelio. "If you go further, I cannot protect you." Aurelio glances at Layla, whose eyes burn with resolve. "Then protect the truth," she says. Without another word, she turns toward the obsidian wall, now faintly glowing with molten veins of light. The guards raise their weapons, but Salvi raises his hand, hesitating. The wall shivers, its surface rippling like liquid glass. From within, faint shapes move, figures draped in gold and linen, their faces serene. Aurelio steps beside her, whispering a final prayer that sounds nothing like Latin. The wall splits open, and light spills through, cold and ancient. Light consumes darkness not with violence, but with the tenderness of mourning. As Aurelio and Layla cross the threshold, sound falls away. The chamber within is unlike stone or architecture. It feels organic, as if carved from living light. Its walls pulse faintly with warmth, revealing reliefs of celestial maps, drawn in both hieroglyphic and Latin script. Aurelio feels his faith unravel into awe. "This isn't a tomb," he whispers. Layla answers softly. "It's memory." In the center rests a sarcophagus of translucent alabaster, floating above the floor, its carvings alive with shifting light. Inside lies neither mummy nor relic, only radiant emptiness. Layla approaches the sarcophagus, drawn as if answering a call across centuries. Her hand hovers above its glowing surface. The light responds, spiraling upward to reveal fragments of vision. Priests carrying relics through burning streets, Roman scribes translating sacred verses, and a procession across the sea beneath the moon. Aurelio stares, entranced as his codex vibrates in his hands, its ink bleeding into the air as luminous vapor. The visions converge upon them, whispering in voices neither Egyptian nor Latin, but both at once. They hid eternity beneath belief. Layla murmurs, tears streaking her cheeks. And now, eternity remembers us. The sarcophagus hums, its glow intensifying until symbols across the walls begin to realign. Aurelio opens the codex to its final page, blank, then watches as light etches new words upon it in both Latin and Egyptian. His voice trembles as he reads aloud, "When two suns meet, mankind will remember it was never divided." The chamber quivers, releasing a low resonance that feels like both heartbeat and hymn. Layla turns to him, realization dawning. "This isn't a discovery," she says. "It's an invitation." Aurelio closes the codex, his eyes shining with quiet reverence. Then perhaps revelation was never meant to end faith, but to begin it again. A distant rumble rolls through the chamber. The world above remembering its weight. Cracks form in the sanctum walls, spilling dust and light together. Layla clutches Aurelio's arm. It's collapsing, but he shakes his head, his voice calm. No, it's releasing. The sarcophagus slowly lowers until it touches the floor. The radiant symbols fade, leaving the faint warmth of breath upon the air. Aurelio looks toward the tunnel they came from, where Cardinal Salvi's silhouette stands framed by blinding light. The old man's voice breaks through the roar. "What have you done?" Aurelio answers. "We've unburied truth, and truth never stays still." The light recedes gently, sinking back into the sarcophagus as though returning home. The chamber quiets, the dust settling like the last page of a story closing itself. Lila kneels beside the sarcophagus, her reflection shimmering in its glass-like surface. "It's sleeping again," she whispers. Aurelio places the codex upon its lid, sealing it with reverent silence. The words engraved upon its cover now read in both languages. "Lux ex oriente, lux in aeternum. Light from the east, light eternal." Salvi steps forward, his voice breaking. "The Church will never speak of this." Aurelio nods. "It doesn't need to." The light remembers. The ascent begins in silence. Aurelio leads with the lantern, its flame reborn, golden and steady. Layla follows close behind, clutching her satchel against her chest, as if guarding the heartbeat of history itself. Cardinal Salvi lingers in the rear, his crimson robes dragging through the dust like a trail of spilled blood. Each step upward feels heavier, the air growing warmer as daylight nears. "When we reach the surface," Layla murmurs, "what will we tell them?" Aurelio's voice is quiet but resolute. That faith is deeper than its foundations. From far above, the faint toll of bells begins to echo, a requiem and a resurrection at once. They emerge into the crypt of St. Peter, where candles flicker in prayerful silence. The air feels impossibly clean, like a new world inhaling. Aurelio kneels instinctively, his eyes adjusting to the familiar glow. Lila looks around in disbelief, realizing they have returned to the threshold of faith's greatest monument. Salvi gazes toward the marble effigy above them, St. Peter's face carved in serene omniscience. "The Church will not thank you," he murmurs. Aurelio smiles faintly. "I didn't ask it to." Layla looks upward, her voice quiet. "The sun will rise again tomorrow, and it will know what lies beneath its shadow." Hours later, the Vatican lies hushed beneath twilight. Aurelio and Layla walk the deserted corridors toward the archives. Outside, Rome hums unaware, its streets glowing amber beneath the evening lamps. Lila stops before a mural of the Resurrection, eyes lingering on the faint resemblance between Christ's outstretched arms and the wings of Isis carved below. "Will anyone believe us?" she asks. Aurelio closes his eyes, smiling with quiet sadness. Belief doesn't require belief. It only requires memory. In the silence that follows, they understand the burden of those who have seen too much, and yet must say nothing. In the archives, the codex rests upon a marble table, its glow gone but its weight eternal. Salvi signs a parchment sealing its existence under papal authority, his pen trembling. "You will not speak of this," he says, though his voice carries little conviction. Aurelio and Layla exchange a glance, neither defiant nor submissive, only understanding. Lila touches the codex once more, feeling warmth beneath its surface. "Some truths don't need voices," she whispers. Aurelio nods. They echo through time, waiting for those who listen. Outside, thunder rolls softly, a storm gathering over Rome as if the heavens themselves stir. As rain begins to fall over the Vatican, Layla stands on the balcony overlooking the city. The storm's reflection shimmers upon cobblestones, turning Rome into a sea of light. Aurelio joins her, the wind tugging at his cassock. "Do you regret it?" he asks. She shakes her head. "No. Wall. We didn't uncover blasphemy. We uncovered kinship." Salvi's voice echoes softly from behind them. "And now you understand why the Church guarded it so carefully." Aurelio turns to him, eyes calm. "Then guard it still. But this time, guard it with truth. Lightning flares across the dome, illuminating them all in brief, divine clarity. Dawn breaks over Rome like a slow confession. The storm has passed, leaving the city bathed in amber stillness. Inside the basilica, the first rays of sunlight spill across marble floors, crawling down into the crypt where no shadow lingers anymore. Father Aurelio Montesi kneels alone before the altar, his eyes closed, his hands steady. He whispers a prayer without language, a soundless plea that binds faith not to heaven, but to memory. Above him, the morning choir begins its hymn, unaware that beneath their voices, Egypt's silence hums in harmony. The light on the altar trembles, golden as truth, fleeting as grace. Dr. Laila Farouk stands within the Vatican gardens, surrounded by olive trees and the murmur of fountains. She holds a single relic in her hand, the small bronze scarab found in the cave, now cool and still. Sunlight glints upon its engraved keys, uniting symbol and secret. The world won't believe, she murmurs, but perhaps it will remember. As she places the scarab beneath the soil at the roots of an olive tree, the earth absorbs it quietly, accepting it as it once accepted forgotten gods. Her eyes close. The wind shifts. Somewhere deep below, the past exhales. Cardinal Salvi stands before the papal archive vault, the sealed codex resting in his hands. The parchment that will record its suppression lies unsigned before him. For a long moment he studies the cover, the faint, intertwined symbols of the cross and the eye, before placing it gently on a shelf that hasn't been opened in centuries. His voice breaks the silence, almost a whisper. We guard, not to hide, but to wait. The iron doors close with a deep resonance, the echo rolling through the marble corridors like a distant bell. The archive sleeps again, but this time with light inside it. Weeks later, in a university lecture hall in Cairo, Layla speaks before a class of young scholars. Her voice is calm, filled with the warmth of hidden truth. History, she says, is not a battle between gods, but a dialogue between those who believe them. She pauses, her eyes drifting to the window, where desert sunlight glows against ancient stone. On her desk lies a small replica of the Eye of Horus, unmarked, unclaimed, yet watching. Somewhere in her thoughts, the Vatican's depths still echo, and she knows that light, once seen, cannot be unremembered. In the Vatican's lower crypt, unseen and untouched, the sealed bronze gate still stands. Beyond it, the cavern sleeps in perfect darkness. Yet, upon the alabaster sarcophagus, the faintest pulse of golden light flickers. Once, twice, before fading again. The voice of Aurelio returns in soft narration. Truth does not die when buried. It only learns patience. The final image lingers on the ancient symbols, half Latin, half hieroglyphic, glowing faintly as dust swirls in eternal motion. Above, church bells ring across Rome, their sound blending with the wind from the east, and in that moment, history breathes.